Produced by Victoire. Victoire gives a special thanks to the EWF, Empire Wrestling Federation, and Mr. Jesse Hernandez. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Power and Glory, the podcast. This is where you discover the power of truth in professional wrestling. And let's face it, let's admit, Paul, there's been a lot of lies spread in this business for too many years. And you and I are here to right the wrongs on some of those lies. Ladies and gentlemen, I am one of your co-stars, the Master, Emir, along with my co-star, ladies and gentlemen. He is a WWE, WCW legend. He is one half of some of the greatest tag teams in professional wrestling history. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for my co-star, Paul Roma.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that introduction. Make me feel super. Appreciate that. And before I get started, we have some fans out there that really listen, and they listen really well. And not just that, we've grown our fan base, and the main reason was because they hit that subscribe button.
That's right.
That's very important to us, to keep us here, keep us talking, and keep all you fueled up and raring to go, and your ears against the against the speaker there, so you can listen to what's going on. So don't stop. Keep hitting that subscribe button, and we'll keep talking.
That's right. As Paul said, you feed us. You give us the fuel by powerplexing rather that subscribe button. So make sure you powerplex that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the likes, and make sure that you share this with your friends and family. We greatly appreciate it. To those of you who have watched, like Paul said, we've had a huge outpouring in the past couple of weeks, plenty of new subscribers. But for those who have watched and have yet to hit that subscribe button, make sure that you do. It's very important, and it's free. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. It is free. So what is not going to be free is what we're going to be doing next week. We are going live for the very first time. It's going to happen on Sunday, April the 6th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's right. We're going to be live, so make sure you've got your wallet shined up and your super sticker donations are ready, because if you do that, if you hit that, we will answer your questions live on the air.
Yeah, and you don't even have to leave your home. You sit right there. Any question you want to ask, there it is. It's there for the taking.
Yep.
Simple.
You've got us for 1 hour. You're also going to hopefully have, because obviously you can see, conspicuous by his absence again this week, the man whose ego is, Paul,
Listen, I don't know. Maybe he's baking a cake this time. Maybe it's not a cheesecake. Maybe it's, a wedding cake or something monstrous.
Yeah.
He MIA, man. MIA.
He's MIA. He did text me something odd the other day. He mentioned something about the Barefoot Contessa. Now, for those of you out in the cooking world, you may have heard of the Barefoot Contessa. I know my wife appreciates her YouTube content quite a bit. She's a published author. She lives up in your neck of the woods, actually, up near the Hamptons. And she does a cooking show. And I guess Mario has been texting me all week, sharing videos with Barefoot Contessa. I said, Paul, what are you trying to make a move on this man's wife or something? That's what I gathered.
That's how, right. Well, maybe he wants to start his own show, like, 9-foot Mancini or something. A 9-toe Mancini. That's
9-toe Mancini.
9-toe Mancini. This could take off. You never know.
He has been threatening you and I, Paul, about going off. Champions. They're not born in the gym. It starts from the inside and it works its way out. Do you feel it more difficult to obtain muscle? Are you tired? Or perhaps depressed? Then there's a solution. Our brand new partner and sponsor, Care Aesthetics of La Quinta, are here to help you get restored to optimal health. Just use the contact information in this video and schedule your free consultation. Be sure to mention the name of the podcast, whether that be Power and Glory, Styling, Masterclass, or Hey Roma, when doing so. We wish you all the best in your road to optimized health. And now, back to the show.
told Mancini, this could take off. You never know.
You know, he has been threatening you and I, Paul, about going off and doing Hey Mona and all these other podcasts that, it's almost like he's, you know what? It's almost like he's using us, Paul,
You
to
think?
launch himself. You know,
Could be.
yeah, we boost his ego, we give him airtime. The fans are responding to Mario, and this is what he's doing. I think he's getting behind our back. I
Or
mean,
you know what? Maybe, just maybe he's such a big deal now
yeah.
that he's going to wait till we go live and then he's going to show up.
That's, you know what? Yeah. A typical Hollywood celebrity move right there. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like going out on the red carpet. You're waiting
Yeah.
for it and then you show up.
Gosh, man. Mario. I wonder what he's going to expect when we go to WrestleCon next month, Las Vegas, Nevada, April 18th. You will see the Power and Glory team roll in. That will be Paul Roma. That will be Mario Mancini. Jim Powers and myself will all be there at the booth. Come and see us. We know some of you fans have already left a comment in the comments saying that you will be there. But gosh, I wonder what's Mario going to want there? A red carpet?
Oh, he may, or maybe we could set up a ring and we
Yeah.
could put people in the ring and take pictures of them beating him in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that'll bring his ego down a little bit.
Maybe that'll be his. I tell you what's probably brought his ego up a little bit though this week, Paul. And he also texted me, he said he's finished burying the Undertaker. That was his comments. He's finished
Okay.
burying the Undertaker.
Okay.
Because he has been trending. Our viewers will certainly know that. The Undertaker, I've got a lot of respect for the Undertaker, his professionalism. He's done a tremendous amount of work. So before disclaimer, we're not bashing anybody here.
No, no.
But he did make a comment that got under the skin of Mario, and I think we should discuss that first and foremost, Paul, because Undertaker did, put enhancement talent, or as they were referred to once upon a time, derogatively, jobbers. They were the wrestlers that would come out in Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, All American, and they weren't part of the main roster per se. They would just get beaten by main roster guys. Like it would be like Power and Glory going against Dwayne Gill and Mike Starr. All right. I mean, but it made sense. But The Undertaker has labeled them, including Mario Mancini, as a bunch of jabronis. I mean, first of all, Paul, what do you think of that in general?
Well, I just don't think it's fair
No.
that somebody should be labeling other people that way. And the reason being is this. Now, I know Mario. I've known him for a long time. And yes, he did jobs
Mhm.
against other wrestlers, named wrestlers,
Yeah.
back in the day. But he also worked in house shows for the WWF. New Haven Coliseum, Long Island, New York. I mean, he worked other venues and he had wins.
Mhm.
So to label somebody, it's like, I don't know. It's funny. I just saw something the other day on TV, and they had to do with politics, and they spoke about the governor, I believe it is,
Which governor? Which
out
one?
of Texas.
Oh,
He's in the wheelchair.
I forget his name, Paul. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, fans.
yeah, that's okay. And but my point being is that this other woman, uh, not kind of mocked him
Mhm.
because he couldn't get up out of that chair. You know what I mean? Uh, when anybody gets into wrestling, you don't know where it's going to take you unless you're part of a bloodline. Then you kind of sort of have an idea that you're not going to be a jobber.
Mhm.
You're going to be winning shows, and they're going to be highlighting your name and so on and so forth. So it's really unfair that Taker made that comment because, again, without them, there is no you,
Right.
right? I mean, if there was a you, then that would be in the, um, you'd be in a cage fighting, legit MMA. You know what I mean? And then see how long your life expectancy is then, how
Right.
long your career is then. These guys are making you look good because that's what they're paid to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
So to crap on them It just isn't right. And again, I've never had a problem with Undertaker. I've always gotten along with him for the years that we were in the same locker room. So this is just, we're just talking business here.
Yeah, yeah. And I
And
think
and I've never done that to
yeah.
my knowledge, unless somebody could, correct me.
Mhm.
I don't look down on um, enhancement.
Mhm.
I just these guys, it had to be really, really difficult for them. I started out that way.
Mhm.
It was difficult for me.
Yeah.
When you're a competitive person, when you're used to winning,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Now they tell you, hey, you're going to go out there and lose a match. What?
Yeah.
Right? You know how hard that is to do? I mean, I closed my eyes the first time I
Yeah.
had to take a pin.
Yeah.
I looked up and I just closed them, and I was like, wow, I was so upset when I got back to the locker room because I'm like, yeah, I can't be doing this. This isn't me. This doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had it not turned around, I wouldn't have gone as far as I did.
I think a lot of people, in the audience out there may not be aware of that, if they've not never gotten in a ring, they've never gotten in the wrestling business. But it's a huge, you're going out there, your adrenaline's high, you're going out there to please the crowd, but you're also, anyone's job in pro wrestling is to make the other person look good. If you're a heel, you're supposed to look the baby face look good, baby face supposed to look the heel look good, that's just the way it goes. It's a give and take
Right.
business. But if you're going, so remember those guys that went out there, the Dwayne Gills, the Mike Stars, the Mario Mancinis, these guys, their job was to make the other guys look larger than life. And
Barry Horowitz, Brian
Barry
Costello,
Horowitz, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they could have taken Barry and turned it around. They could have taken Mario and flipped it around. They could have taken Brian Costello and turned him around. There's
mm,
a lot of guys
yeah,
that they could have taken
uh-huh,
that were, as the Undertaker would claim that they are jobbers.
mhm,
Um, but they're the ones who made you look good. They're the ones who made you look strong, powerful,
yeah.
because you went out there and you whooped their butt.
Also, what it did, Paul, was it preserved. And this is one thing that if I was a booker today, I would go back in time and I would definitely book it where you had more of the guys that were in training coming up. I wouldn't call them enhancement talent. I'd get the younger guys who aren't as experienced to let the main roster guys go over because then it preserved your matches for your pay-per-views. So by the time we got to SummerSlam 90 and it was Power and Glory versus the Rockers, you guys had been tuning up each against enhancement talent every week on Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, and now finally you get to see the two main teams butt heads. That builds. It's a better story arc. I feel once they took that away, every Monday Night Raw, every SmackDown is a pay-per-view. That's it.
Well, yeah, and excuse me, that's what Vince wanted. He wanted to have a pay per view every month,
Yep. Yep.
and that's what he's got now.
Yep. Well,
You
that's
know,
what now Triple H and them have. And
well,
that
that's what Triple H has inherited.
yes. Yeah, yes. Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So, but I agree with you. Look, why go as I do in my wrestling school?
Mhm.
I have my pros, I have my rookies. So when some guy is starting out, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
What's wrong with calling them rookies?
Nothing at all.
No,
It
they're
happens in
not.
every
They
sport.
don't have to be enhancement. They don't have to be jobbers. They don't have to be any of that.
Just call them
They're
rookies.
rookies.
Yep.
I mean, look, you have baseball.
Yep.
You have the minor leagues. They bring a guy up. He may take a couple swings with the bat. Next thing you know, he's not there anymore. They sent him back down.
Yep.
But they don't. What do they call him? A jobber because he went up and struck out every time he went up to bat?
Nope.
No. I mean,
No.
this was just a bad name somebody came up with,
Yep.
and it stuck. And then they tried to get rid of it, which I thought they did because they're calling him enhancement talent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like a lot of guys, um, Undertaker obviously being one of them, he threw the jobber out there,
Mm-hmm.
and that was hurtful.
Yep. So that's what Mario was dealing with last week, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to link it at the end of this one so you can go back and watch it. But Mario was discussing that. like I said, apparently now he has buried the Undertaker. So I don't know if you're going to see him pop up out of a grave anywhere. If you do, double check, make sure it wasn't the imposter from 1994 at SummerSlam, because the real one is apparently gone, according to Mario. That's the last text I got him before he sent me this barrage of Barefoot Contessa texts. But you mentioned there, Paul, Barry Horowitz. Now, Barry is a friend of yours. He's a friend of Mario's. I'm hopeful there's a good chance, viewers, that he will be joining us here soon on Power and Glory. Now, with Barry, they did give him the opportunity finally. I believe you had probably just left WCW when that happened, but he had a series of wins, and I think he had two or three pay-per-views. They put him in a SummerSlam, a Survivor Series, and a Royal Rumble at the end of 95 into 96. So Barry did get to finally live that dream where he became part of the main roster, and he did very well. Like you said, he was a very accomplished wrestler. He knew how to
Yeah.
tell a story. Dwayne Gill, they did it to him too. Eventually, they made him Gilberg. They made fun of Goldberg, which was hilarious.
Right.
He came out with little sparkles. Did you ever see that, Paul, when he came out with little like little
No,
spark?
I'm glad I didn't see it.
Well, you got to see it just you want to laugh. That's
Just-
that's why. But yeah, they did that with him too. But yeah, very integral part of the business. And like I said, it's not kind to make fun of others that are equally as important. Everyone's important in the wrestling business, Paul.
well, look, this is what people don't get. All right, and hopefully our fans understand. And I'm not knocking our fans or any fans for that matter. But here's the thing: if you've played sports, and again, I've played every sport except for hockey. Okay, you don't understand what it takes
Yeah.
to be that athlete. You just don't. It's not that easy.
No.
You know, when you sit at home, you watch football, and then Monday morning, you're telling everybody how you could have thrown that ball better, or you could have made that catch that guy dropped, or, you could have done this, you could have made that tackle. Listen, I don't want to hear it.
Mhm.
It's a crock. Same thing with wrestling. You sit there and you know you say things as a fan. You knock wrestlers, and then you say, well, is wrestling real or fake? And then you get an answer and you go, no, it's fake. Well, then if you believe wrestling is fake, how can you condemn the person who went out there like a Mario Mancini and got beat all the time?
Mhm.
That's what he was told to do.
Right.
So he didn't have a choice.
Right.
Okay. I didn't have a choice.
Mhm.
Hogan doesn't have a choice.
Mhm.
If you get told to get beat, you get beat. That is just how it is.
Yeah.
Flair couldn't have won the belt, his belt, I don't know how many, 963 times,
Yeah.
if he didn't get beat 962 times. Well, now it's 63 because he doesn't have a belt anymore. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had to get beat 1,000 times.
Yeah. You have to get before you become Joe Rogan status, baby.
Before
That's
you
right.
become Joe Rogan status. That's great. That's
That's
great. Oh, that
that's what
is
has
so
to
good.
happen, and that's what the nature boy did.
Yeah. So, when people kind of they hit you from both sides.
Yeah.
And what I found out earlier was, as I had said this before, when someone asks me, is wrestling real or fake? I tell them it's real. And I get some people that will fire back and go, no, it's fake. And this is the same person.
Yeah.
And they'll say, okay, then it's fake. No, it's real. I just told you it was real, and you just dismissed and said, no, it was fake. Now I agree with you and tell you that it's fake. You go, no, it's real.
Mhm.
So you make your own decision, because apparently you can't, right?
Yeah.
You fight with yourself over this one. But
Yeah.
that's legit. I mean, you can't win.
Right.
So my thing was, moving forward, I said to myself, okay, I got the answer. Hey, Paul, a fan comes up to me. Is wrestling real or fake? You know what my response was?
What is it,
It's
Paul?
whatever you want it to be.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer, Paul.
And they're like, no, no, no. I said, nope. it's whatever you want it to be. Because that person who came up to me and said, asked me, and when I told him it was real, he told me no, it was fake, and I agreed with him and said, okay, it's fake. He goes, no, it's real. I'm saying to myself, am I really having this conversation with this guy?
Yeah, it's crazy. I tell you what is real though, Paul, and I'll back you up on this one. I can attest to this, the emotions that are real. Because I know, when you're performing at that level and, fans, it's intense. You're going
Yeah,
out in front of a large group of people. Not many people do that on a daily basis. So when you're doing that, you're putting yourself on the line. You're exposing your faults, your fears and all of that. It's very, very real. And a lot of work goes into, but like Paul said, you've got a boss like Vince McMahon. When he told Hulk Hogan, you're going to lose to the Ultimate Warrior, Hogan could have kicked and screamed all he wanted to. Vince had made his choice and it was done. Much like when Vince took the belt off Brett and gave it to Shawn in the Montreal
right,
Screwjob. Done.
right.
It's not. But Paul, I do want to shift. I do want to promise our viewers right now we are going to be
Okay,
getting to Rick Rude because you've seen that in the thumbnail. We're going to be doing some Rick Rude road stories here, but there's a few things we wanted to address first. The second thing
okay.
I wanted to address, Paul, because so many people have. What is it, Paul?
Yeah, I know where you're going with
You
this.
know where I'm
Listen,
going.
people. Yeah, listen, people.
Okay.
Okay, Paul Roman's getting a little tired of this. All right, look, if you want to go out and compare Paul Roma to I don't know, some actor who's a heartthrob, go on and do it. I like that. That's cool. Okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
But I've been compared to somebody. People have been asking, Amir, they've been asking you,
Yep.
right? It
Yep.
doesn't stop.
Nope.
I'm in Vegas, right? And I'm walking through the casino and somebody goes, hey, are you? And I'm like, no, I am not. Okay. Now,
Yeah. So
I just want, I know. And I just want to say to everybody, and I'm going to let you let the cat out of the bag,
mm,
but I'm going to bring it up to this. I am much prettier than this man.
there you go. And in fact, it
Okay.
was it was in Paul's namesake, actually. He was pretty Paul Roma. He was not the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. And they are
Oh, he's not.
not related. All right. So to finally lay this to rest, Paul Roma and Ken Shamrock are not related. Again, Paul and I were discussing this off camera. Maybe it's just the way that the camera's set that's watching you
Right.
right now, Paul, and the shadow that's casting maybe on your eyes or something like that. But Paul does not. You just need to go back and look at some of Paul's matches and look at Ken Shamrock. The two men,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what your fans are seeing. You tell us. What is it about Paul that you think he looks like
Yeah.
Shamrock?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I like to know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not mad about it. At least you compare me to somebody who can throw down. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
But I've had people come up to me at autograph shows and say, "Hey, anybody ever tell you?" I say, "I already know." Okay, I can't say all right, right? Yeah. I am much prettier than this man. Stop comparing me to this guy. Okay?
Yeah. No, it's true though. If you look back, if you watch you guys, I don't see this similarity. I don't. Me personally, fans, I don't. I
I
mean, I don't know
know.
what you guys are seeing, but well, actually, someone said to me the other day they look like a guy called Adam Rose. I said, who the heck is he? I looked him up. He was a wrestler in
Did you?
WWE. I don't know who this Adam Rose is, but anyway, regardless, I said I don't see the resemblance at
Yeah.
all. But there you go. So. But again, everyone sees what they want to see. Like you said, Paul, at least you were compared to somebody, because fans, you need to know this too. Paul is a seriously competitive guy and he is a serious tough guy too. Before he was in wrestling, he did other sports as well. And Paul, I want you to shed some light on the viewers who don't know some of the other accolades that you were involved with. I think you probably could have handled yourself pretty well in UFC and all that yourself too. But I mean, obviously you wouldn't because obviously, pretty Paul Roma, you don't want to screw up your face,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, no. But and I don't even think UFC was around back then.
No, no.
I mean that it took the world by storm for the most part when it first came online.
Yeah.
But again, yes, I've played baseball and obviously softball, and I played football, semi-pro football. I've boxed professionally. I've had 3 pro fights. I kickboxed.
Yeah.
That's what got me into boxing. So as far as sports is concerned, again, I ran hurdles when I ran track, and um, so I get it,
Mhm.
and a lot of people when I first started wrestling, the first day I got in the ring and I took bumps and I started to learn. I'm going to tell you right now. To me, when I walked in, I was like, this is going to be a piece of cake.
Mhm.
All the sports, all the beatings I used to take, you know what I mean? This is not going to be hard at all to me. And I was wrong.
Yeah.
It was so far from the truth that I convinced myself. I got out of that ring and I hurt everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there were muscles that you felt, you're like, wow, I have bruises where I was hitting the ropes. And I'm like, wow, am I like, I don't see the other guys with bruises, meaning the veterans that were
Mhm.
there. Why am I all bruised up? Well, maybe it's because, I came off the bodybuilding circuit and my body fat's low still, or, I couldn't figure it all out.
Mhm.
It was just a question of repetitiveness,
Yeah.
your body getting comfortable and used to it.
Yeah.
But it was real. I tell people to this day that it was the hardest sport physically that I ever got into.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean, look, I've got kicked in the head, kickboxing, and multiple times, and punched, and but again, it was just the entire body just ached
yeah.
from taking these bumps on the canvas in the ring and hitting the ropes and hitting the turnbuckles, and who's grabbing your arm and twisting it one way and maybe they're turning it a little too hard and jacking it up your back on a hammer lock a little too far, and they're squeezing your head a little hard, in a headlock, and just about ripping your neck off on a headlock takeover, and I wasn't any better. I was doing the same thing to them because I wasn't smooth to start with.
Yeah.
This was a whole new world to me.
Yeah.
So, it's wrestling is difficult. It's a lot more difficult than people think.
I think there's also the added pressure of you mentioned some of those other sports. When you're playing baseball and whatnot, you're playing to win, or you're doing boxing, you're playing to win. When you're in a professional wrestling setting, you're playing to make the crowd pop. So you've got this extra added pressure on top of you of taking this pain, but you've also got to be cognizant of what the heck's going on in that audience. So you've got to, if they're down, you got to bring them back up. You got to be thinking on your feet. It's not a straightforward competition. It's not like going to the gym. Oh, I'm going to bench, 300 pounds. That's it. You're not trying to impress other people around you. I mean, it's maybe some of you are, but you know what I mean? There's an added pressure, an added
Right.
layer of intensity to all that beating that you got to take. Last note on Ken Shamrock. I did think personally he did make a good adjustment from UFC to WWE, though. He was pretty good in his
Yep.
run there. I'd love to have him on. I've actually spoken with him a few times, so hopefully we'll make that happen in the future.
Listen, all you got to do is call him up and say, listen, Paul Roma says he's prettier than
That's it. And he'll be right here. And then for the fans who do see double, you'll be seeing double on that episode. You'll be like, what?
there you
There's
go.
two guys here. But Paul, let's go on to Rick Rude, because obviously that's the title of this episode here. We've been promising it for weeks. Rick Rude, stellar athlete, stellar
The
performer.
ravishing one. Yes.
Ravishing Rick Rude. He now, as a kid, he was a great heel, man. I mean, he really rubbed the crowd the wrong way, especially the guys, and he was just excellent at what he did. But fans want to know, who was he for real? So who was Rick to you for real? Was he anything like the character he portrayed?
So in the beginning, I have to say yes.
Okay.
Um, they don't know you if they're threatened by you. Um, you know, then they're a little standoffish, a little nose up in the air.
Yeah.
I'm better than you. Stay where you are. This is where you are down here. I'm up here. Okay, I get it. Um, but as you get to know him, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's an everyday guy,
Okay.
funny. You know what I mean? You just don't. I never thought. the guy was going to make me laugh because I just thought he was, so wound up so tight.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't the case at all
Yeah.
once you get to know
Yeah.
him. Now, there are a couple things that I don't know to this day if maybe his wife is listening. I don't know if she knows,
Mhm.
but they played a rib on Rick Rude.
Okay.
The WWF did at the time. And I got wind of it in the locker room, as did all the other guys. So
Mhm.
we all crowded around the monitor. What happened was, you know how Rick would go in the ring, he'd get done, and then they'd bring a girl in out of the crowd.
Yeah.
And he'd give her a kiss or whatever the case may be. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they knew his wife was on the road with him, and she
Okay.
was at that TV. And what they did was they set Rick Rude up.
Okay.
So when he went to give the girl the kiss,
Mhm.
she locked horns with him.
Okay.
Yeah. And she shoved her tongue in his mouth.
Okay.
And obviously his wife's in the crowd and she
Okay.
sees that and all hell breaks loose with him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So while they think it's funny,
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't do much for your marriage.
No, not
Yeah.
at all.
Not a good thing. Not a good
Jeez.
thing.
So what
Um,
happened? What happened? Like
I mean,
backstage?
I heard they had a big to do,
Yeah.
him and his wife.
Yeah.
I don't recall
Yeah.
what the outcome was, but I know it wasn't good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean,
That's
how do you explain it to her? How
yeah.
do you explain to her that someone's going to believe that these guys set you up?
That's almost impossible. When a
Right?
woman, yeah, when your wife has lost all reasoning, that's virtually impossible. I don't know. I mean, now there are some ribs. Speaking of ribs, I was ribbed this week. I'm not going to say exactly what for, but I was ribbed this week very late at night, thanks to
Uh-huh.
my partners out there in crime. And needless to say, they got me good, Paul. They got my blood
I
pressure
think
up.
you should share it with all the people here. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Or you know what? I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Save it
Okay.
till next week when they're going to ask the questions live.
There you go. That's it. Save it. So next week, if you want to ask me the question, what was the rib that my fellow Delirium teammates pulled on me? You can get your super stickers ready and I'll answer it live on Power and Glory, April the 6th, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time start time. So there you go. I'll reveal all there. But needless to say, Paul, my blood pressure went up unnecessarily that night. So again, there are certain ribs, like again with the wives, certain ribs you shouldn't do because, like you said, Paul, interfering with a marriage is a very bad thing, and certain things, lines that shouldn't be crossed. So,
Right.
well, I believe Rude did survive that because his wife did come out as his Hall of Fame induction with their son.
Okay.
Um, wasn't Rude a Christian man as well? Because I heard things that he was a man of faith as well.
Um, I mean, I heard that later on,
Yeah, yeah,
after I was out of wrestling.
yeah.
Um, but I'm nothing. There's nothing bad I have to say about him. Though
No.
I do have a story about Rick that is a ego
All right.
story.
Let's hear it.
Okay. All right. So Rick would come out with hair on his chest, right? So he had
Yeah.
hair on his chest, his belly a little bit, and that was his thing. Well, then, somebody like me, the Warrior, we came out and we didn't have any.
All right.
So Rick said, "Well, I'm going to shave the hair off my chest and I'll have a nice, clean look, right?
Yeah.
People could see all the definition a lot easier."
Yeah.
Okay. So now Rick does that. Well, next thing you know, I see Rick and he's growing the hair back on his chest.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Rick, what's up?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Growing the hair back on your chest?" Yeah. I just, I want to grow back. And I was like, "Yeah, but it looks cleaner
Yeah.
when you got it off. People could see,
Yeah.
like, right? Like
Yeah.
in bodybuilding,
Yeah.
all your hair is gone, your legs, everything. It has to be gone so people could see all the muscularity."
Yeah.
So he led me to believe that basically it was his choice.
Okay.
He decided that he wants to grow it back. Well, what I found out later on was that, and I believe it was Piper came up to him and using a choice word that I won't use,
Okay.
convinced him that it wasn't right to shave the hair off his chest because he was a man
Okay.
and men grow hair on their chest and he grew his hair back. And that didn't last that much longer
Yeah.
that he had that because he went back and cleaned it up. And no sooner he cleaned it up, of course, when I saw it, I had to go over and stir the pot a little
Yeah.
bit.
What did you say to him?
No, I just gave him a hard time about, growing, shaving it back off again. And
Yeah.
because I knew now that it was someone who stirred the pot to get him to grow it back
Yeah.
and basically call him choice names
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
because he shaved his chest and
But
only women,
yeah.
like they shaved their legs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Rick didn't take too kindly to it and he grew that hair back as quick as he could.
Well, he did because even it's weird because like I remember his whole personality changed because he was kind of like jovial and he'd do the thing with the women and the hips, but then when he went to WCW, it's like he totally friggin' changed. He still had the ravishing Rick Rude, but he was intense. He had the hair on his chest again. He looked like he got a lot bigger in WCW
Yeah.
when he got there. So it's almost like because I've heard stories that he was like in real life, he was a real friggin' tough guy. Like he
I
could,
heard that too. I
yeah,
heard that too, but it was kind of like later on I heard that
okay,
because he you know just his persona of
mhm,
him being there.
mhm,
You respected him. I
yeah,
respected him. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, I wouldn't I wouldn't be the guy to want to fight him,
mhm,
but there were a lot of people I didn't want to fight
mhm,
just for the sake of not wanting to fight them because I liked them.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And then I found out later on, that he was really tough.
yeah,
But again, it was his character came across like that. But when he wasn't in character, he was just jovial. He wasn't
easy going,
that tough guy. I
yeah,
don't think I don't think there were many people that were.
mhm,
You know what I mean? Even
mhm,
though they were legit tough
mhm.
after the fact, when they were just around the boys. And then there were some that, for the most part, kind of sort of acted like they were.
Yeah, yeah, of
You know?
course they're everywhere. They're a dime a dozen guys like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, but Rude, like he really was the quintessential character from that time. He did his jobs very well. His promos were always great. He invested a lot of money in his gear because WWE, like you said, Paul, WWE didn't pay for you guys' gear, right?
No, we pay for it.
Right. So actually, that's a good point. We've never talked about that with Power and Glory. So did you design the Power and Glory logo? Who designed that?
So they called me into the office. I went down to Stanford, went into the office. They had, I believe, two women there,
Mhm.
designers. And, they're like, well, this is what we're thinking. And I said, well, Power and Glory. And they said, well, how about this? And how about that? And I went, yeah, and then we could do this. And so we came up with, um, you know, the lightning bolt. And they thought that we originally said we wanted long tights.
Yeah.
And they kind of frowned on that
Mm.
because, they said that Ray and I had really good legs that we should show them.
All right.
Um, so I mean, we kind of did both. We did, the long tights, and then the lightning bolt. When we pulled the little tights up, the lightning bolt had to match the one going down the side of the leg
All
when we
right.
wore the long tights.
Yeah. So you just
Um,
you just put the trunks over the tights, basically.
yes,
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Going back to Rude, I was going to ask you, did you ever have the occasion to work out with him? Do you know how? No.
I never worked out with him. The only it was a rarity. Um, so when I was with Jimmy, the few times that I got Jimmy in the gym, we just went together, but we went our separate ways.
Okay.
I didn't like training with anybody because I felt they would hold me back.
Okay.
So
That
when
makes sense. I concur with that, Paul. I understand.
right,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I always one of my pet peeves is you could train with somebody, but not with two people. So if it was me, you, and say Ray, that's not going to work.
Right.
It's three people. There's too long of a break in between. You're taking too long in between sets.
Mm.
Just how it is. So, but when I got with Ray, it was different. Same thing. Even when I trained with Orndorff, we go to the gym and Orndorff go, "Hey, what are you training today?" And I say, "Well, let's say we're going to do the same body parts."
Yeah,
We get in the gym and he just go do his thing,
yeah.
and I go do my thing. But when I got with Ray, it was this is how I train, and he goes, "Well, this is what I do." And I said, "Well, that doesn't work.
Mhm.
Physically, it doesn't work." And then he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm not saying you're not a big guy, because you are,
Yeah.
but you could be bigger." And then I explained what I believed he was doing that wasn't correct.
Hmm.
And I said, "So this is what we'll do. Try my way. And if you don't think it's good, we'll try your way."
Fair enough.
So he tried my way, and he's like, "I love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Done." And we couldn't be, I mean, as soon as we landed in a town, it was eat and get to the gym, eat, get to the gym.
yeah,
We don't care about our hotel for the most part, but
yeah.
it was just, we had to get to that gym.
Yeah,
Um,
you guys did well. I mean, because he when he joined you, he leaned out, and then in like 91, later 91, he got huge. I mean, he was massive. He didn't
he was,
he lost the leanness again because I think you told me before he was taking in too much sodium. So
yeah,
he
he
liked
loved his Gatorade, man. He loves it. You don't know how hard it is to get somebody. It was like he was addicted to Gatorade. Because we're rooming together.
Yeah, yeah,
I wake up, and I'm like, "Hey, let's go. Let's get to the gym. Let's go eat and get ready, shower and everything."
yeah,
And he'd sit on the side of the bed and pop that Gatorade if it wasn't already open, sitting there all night,
yeah.
obviously getting warm. And he'd chug a lug that thing down. And so what was really weird was I started to drink more Gatorade now
Okay.
because he was drinking Gatorade. So I was like, okay, right? That's
Yeah,
going to be my drink of choice right now. So
yeah,
that's what I did.
yeah,
And I started seeing myself, what I call blow up,
yeah.
smooth out,
Uh-huh.
water retention, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a gentleman that was a rep for Gatorade. And he says, "You realize that your body is taking water to process the Gatorade?" And I
Mm.
said, "What are you talking about? Like, it's fluid."
Hmm.
He said, "There's so much sodium in Gatorade
Hmm.
that it draws the sodium out of your body, so to speak,
Okay.
kind of dehydrates you." So when
Wow.
people go, "Oh, you're dehydrated, go drink some Gatorade," that's the worst stuff you can drink.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I lived off of what he told me.
Hmm.
Obviously, I figure he knew what he's talking about, right? Didn't
Yeah.
even have to research it. I
Yeah.
just shut down the Gatorade, and it started to bleed off me,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I just started to lean. And then I turned to Ray and go, "You got to stop, dude. You got to stop drinking the Gatorade. You're smoothing out."
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, you're drinking, like, all joking aside, he'd have 3, 4 a day, easy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And
Yeah.
we're not talking about the little bottles. We're talking about those big bottles.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, wake up in the morning, there it is on his nightstand. He
Yeah.
pops that thing open. It's, good, 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 good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
A lot of
um,
sodium.
a
Right.
lot of sodium in it, and it takes a lot of sodium out of your body and water
Yeah.
out of your body to process it.
That's very good information for viewers. Take note of that as well, especially if you're a child or you are in sports, take note of that. Water is always good. You do need electrolytes, but there are plenty available
But
in the
but
market.
what they do now is, and my kid laughs at me when I say this, Pedialyte.
Oh yeah, the baby
So,
formula.
right. So it was made for babies, so they stay hydrated, right?
Mhm.
Or if they're dehydrated, it hydrates them.
Yeah.
Well, Pedialyte came out with Pedialyte for grown-ups now, for adults.
Okay, there you go.
So it works. I mean,
Yeah.
this stuff works, especially when
Yeah.
it's cold. It's good tasting.
Well, they also say, well, bodybuilders used to say that baby food was good for bodybuilding to have a few cans of that, right? I mean, I remember hearing that in England.
Yeah, the jars of it, guys
Yeah.
used to. I didn't do it, but
Okay.
guys did it. I
Yeah.
knew plenty of guys that used it. I
Yeah.
didn't use it.
Yeah. Now, in terms of we'll finish up here because we're coming to the top of the hour, Paul. But in terms of Rick Rude's conditioning as well. So I mean, obviously he was. I mean, he was like you, man. He was, but he didn't have the legs that you
Yeah,
had. He didn't have the mass that you had, but he had the definition that you had. So was he super serious whenever you'd see him with his diet, or was he?
yeah. I mean, when I saw him,
Yeah.
it wasn't like even when I traveled with him, it wasn't like I was right there
Right.
sitting
Right.
beside him.
Right.
But yeah, he was very serious about his diet.
Okay.
Again, in the gym, I'd mostly see him working his upper body.
Right.
He wasn't a big fan of training the legs,
No.
hence the long tights.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But to me, Rick, I don't mean any disrespect by this, not in the least. He was like the stripper.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
that lean look. He didn't need all the bulk.
No.
He looked the part, and he fit the part.
He did. I mean, I was trying to think the other day because I watched an old match of his before we did this, and I was looking at the physique. He definitely did not have the legs at all. I mean, his legs were now what he did do to offshoot it, because obviously there's tricks that you can do. It looks like he worked his glutes excessively, so that at least he had his rear end was developed. So now it would carry. Had he not had that, his tights would have just fallen down all the time because
Yeah,
he had no quads or hamstrings at all.
yeah, yeah. He had to have a butt.
Yeah, yeah. So it looked like he probably just did a bunch of what are they kickbacks or whatever they do for the glutes or something. I don't know, something like that.
I do stiff legs and flat leg curls and
Yeah,
squats. I mean,
yeah,
man, heavy, 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 heavy squats.
yeah. What was the heaviest
Sometimes
squat you did, Paul? Back then?
700 for 6, I believe.
Wow, Paul, that's friggin' strong, man. Wow.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Neidhart came over to me and told me, he goes, you know what? With those legs, you'd be a hell of a shot putter.
Sheesh,
And
man.
I looked at him, I was like, what? He goes, legs like that? He goes, I see what you do in the gym. I see you squatting.
Yeah,
He goes, that's shot putter legs right there.
that's
And I was
strong,
like,
Paul.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That could have been another career,
I was
but
like, listen, yeah, don't bother me. I don't want to know nothing. I'm busy here. I'm trying to jump higher. Leave me alone. Okay, so listen, I'm going to leave everybody with this.
All right.
You're mad at me now. You do. You can't reach through the phone. You can't come and get me. You'll have to wait till Vegas.
Yeah.
I heard quite a few people say that you resemble somebody,
Yeah. Yeah. Paul.
and
Yeah.
and that person is Triple H.
Yeah. Triple H. Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. So I mean,
Nose isn't as big as his, so you got him beat there.
no, no, it's not. But there's some people that think there's obviously, you know, there's some history there. I do speak French, je parle français. He is Jean-Paul Levesque. I mean,
But I don't
you
think
know,
he speaks French.
yeah, I think he does actually. I think he does. I think
I never
so.
heard him.
But I mean, maybe we're related. I'll just leave it at that. Maybe we're not. I don't
Maybe
know. We'll
we're
we'll
right.
just we'll leave it right there. We'll leave it that maybe I am. Maybe one day all will be revealed to all of you.
Yeah, yeah.
But to do that, for you to understand and to know that, you're gonna have to hit the subscribe button. You're
Power
going to
flex it.
powerplex it. You're going to have to hit the likes, and you're going to have to make sure that you are available on April the 6th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because we are going live for the first time right here on YouTube. So make sure you do that.
And wouldn't you want to be a part of history the first time we go live and you're the one asking the questions?
Oh yeah. Can you imagine that if you're the very first person to answer a
Yeah.
question?
And you could take the video and show it to your friends.
That's right. And you know what, Paul? Actually, it's funny you mentioned this, Paul, because we had a fan when we hit 1,000 subscribers. I remember the fan who was the 1,000 subscriber was actually so happy. They actually sent a message that day. I remember it. They said, I'm so happy I was your 1,000 subscriber." So it does make a difference. It is
It
something
does.
historical, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that one person that gets it. So let you be the first person to answer that question with your super chats next week on Power and Glory. But until then, everybody, Paul, I want to thank you for joining us this week, as always.
Yeah. And you also, and everybody out there that is a part of Power and Glory.
Yep, we want to thank you all, and we will get our schedule back down. Just bear with us. We will have Hey Roma coming back soon. I know everybody's been busy. We need to set our day. Paul, you and I will talk about this off camera. We'll figure out that day where we can get Hey Roma done so that we can get that to you each and every week again, like we were doing before. We'll keep you posted on that. But until then, thank you all. God bless all
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah.
Paul.
Hey, and listen, if you really miss us, come on out to Vegas. Come to our live show.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be recording live. I think we're going to record live on the morning, the morning of either the 18th, no, 17th, 8th, 19th or the 20th. We'll let you know before we go to
That's
Vegas, the
Saturday or
Saturday
Sunday.
or the Sunday. I'm thinking more so inclined to the Sunday, Paul, because by then things are going to wind down. WrestleMania is already taking place. We might behoove us to do that 1 hour show that morning, right? So
You
we'll
heard it, everybody.
let you know. We'll keep you updated. But
Yeah.
Paul, God bless you, sir,
You too.
and God bless all of you. We'll see you next week right here on Power and Glory Live.
I'm Joe Rogan status, baby. Woo!